Coming up on Dub Zone, all square in Gosford as the Mariners fight back against City. Mariners captain Taran King will join us ahead of the second leg, and advantage victory as a bunge double jumps the Reds. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan. Joining me, A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri and two-time Ninja A-League Championship winner Teresa Polias. Great to have you both here. What a weekend it was. Exhilarating, entertaining, edge of your seat stuff as we saw the first legs of the semi-final played out. What was your favourite moment, T?
Fantastic games, but the quality of set pieces in particular corners really stood out for me. It's almost like a goal could be scored on anyone, and it's really exciting. I'm happy we have two live ties, but particularly that our undefeated premiers, they are perhaps in the toughest situation going into the second leg. How could you not enjoy that the Mariners came back and made a game of it?
It was absolutely outstanding, wasn't it, Teo? Shall we take a look at all the highlights from the first leg of the semi-final between the Central Coast Mariners and Melbourne City?
Industry Group Stadium has turned it on in Gosford today for the first leg of the semi-finals between Central Coast Mariners and Melbourne City. Annalise Rasmussen, Gomez, Pennock, and the tap in for Brooke Nunn. Central Coast take the lead. McKenna bring Melbourne City level with the dead ball. She goes for power and scores spectacularly. Letitia McKenna brings the semi-final level, and Henry is off and racing. Rowe trying to backtrack. It's Briley Henry rounds the goalkeeper and City lead. Briley Henry's goal-scoring run continues into the finals. Pennock, beautifully measured ball. Brooke Nunn. Mira's out of the equation, but there are defenders back. Nunn! The crowd tells the story. Brooke Nunn has two, and the Mariners are level. And we will see you in a week in Melbourne, because we are no closer to working out who will advance to the Ninja A-League Grand Final.
2-2, the final score, and some very tidy finishes there as well in that one, keeping it definitely entertaining as we go into the second leg. And Teresa, I probably owe you a little apology because last week you said this would be a draw, and I said no chance, and you were right.
Yeah, look, knowing I think the Mariners are a bit of a bogey team for City. They had two draws in the season, and yeah, just seemed to like playing against City.
Be honest, when Melbourne City turned around this deficit to lead by half-time, did you think that was it? It was only going to go one way? Because, I mean, as a neutral, you hope for a close contest, but I didn't see the Mariners getting back into this game. It was a pleasant surprise that they kicked again and had another level to go to.
Yeah, look, it was always going to be tough, but you could see the Mariners throwing everything and continue to throw everything at City, and they're not a team that sort of, stops playing the Mariners, so they kept going. Brooke Nunn's on fire at the moment, so she was always going to be a threat.
There was a degree of ease to the way City scored these two goals. The free kick for McKenna, great free kick, but it came from a disputed foul, which was probably, what the Mariners would say, quite a soft foul. And for the vast majority of players in the league, not even close to shooting range,
Yeah.
And I think that goal, it kind of rattled the Mariners a bit, and so maybe they needed the halftime team talk. It really felt like they were holding on for halftime and that City had a third in them before the break.
Yeah, and they'll go into this second leg knowing those two goals were pretty avoidable. I think Sarah Langman will be a bit disappointed with her dive on that. I think she mistimed it, and she's had an incredible season, to be fair to her. So I think she'll look back on that with a bit of regret there too.
Wonderful performances for the Mariners from Brooke Nunn with the double there, and Jade Pennock with that amazing ball to split the defence and put her in onside. But for City, it was Leah Davidson who stole the show.
Leah Davidson's up in the 90s now for games played in this league, Teresa. I think this was the best one at the weekend. And the stat that really caught my eye with Leah Davidson is during the middle of the season, she had a 4-game stretch where she didn't have a single shot creating action. So a pass, a cross, something that puts a teammate in position to shoot. She had 4 in this game, and she's exploded with 21 in her last 7 games. It's a change of role. It may have been precipitated by some of the attackers being out injured. I mean, she ran herself into the ground quite literally in this game, but it feels like she's been given a bit more licence to get forward and be a bit more creative, and the Mariners just couldn't track her runs. She was so evasive in the game. And I haven't always seen the vision on Leah Davidson. I've often thought that one of the reasons Melbourne City often have 400, 500, 600 passes at going at 100 passes per shot is because they don't attack and aren't daring enough. But I saw the dare and some of the risks in this.
Yeah, and I think it reminds me of Izzy Gomez's story, having that, given free rein to get forward, and that's what we're seeing with Leah Davidson. I think she's normally sort of told to sit back and be the disciplined player, and that's what we've seen from her throughout her career. I'd say she's more of that holding player, but I mean, look, she's able to get forward and set things up, which is really good for City, given that they were missing players as well. She had to step up.
Missing a lot of players. The maestro in the midfield was Leah Davidson on the weekend. Let's hear now from the Melbourne City coach, Michael Matriciani.
Look, they're a great side. They've got some... I think they're very well coached. I think they can play a couple of different formations, and like you saw, probably around the 60th minute, they changed to a back five and got their wing backs going. They're very good on the transition. So we conceded a transition goal, which is quite disappointing on our behalf. We're normally quite good at that. So we'll just nullify that and work on it and make sure it doesn't happen again. Lourdes has been struggling with a bit of a back injury the last probably week and a half. She hasn't been able to struggle. We probably could have pushed her, but we decided with the travel, it's probably best to give her another few days rest and make sure she trains fully next week and gets ready to come straight back into the team. Holly sort of felt on Tuesday a little bit of a knock, so it was sort of got the scan all clear, so then we didn't quite want to risk her for a full start. But, she played that 25, 30 minutes off the bench, which is pleasing. She got through that well, so she'll be ready next week. And even we've forgotten about Speckmeyer as well, who's been out for 5-6 weeks, maybe 6-7 weeks now. So she'll be ready for next week as well.
Michael Matriciani speaking about his injured players and also how he's going to nullify the threat of the Central Coast up front. It does raise some questions as to the strength of this Melbourne City side, obviously with those three players sitting on the bench, and what that might mean for Briley Henry, even though she's in goal-scoring form.
We've got to ask the question here, T. You can take one risk on one player carrying an injury, but how many players have to be under a cloud before you have to basically play the ones who are fit and in form?
Yeah.
Briley Henry has scored 5 in 8 now, and she's only had one streak of scoring goals like this previously in her career. We're seeing a bit of the creativity of Lourdes Bosch and the scoring of Mariana Speckmeyer here, but do they stick with Briley Henry if Lourdes Bosch isn't good to start, if Mariana Speckmeyer, even after a month out, isn't ready to give 90 minutes from kickoff?
Well, she certainly deserves the start, but when you're going into a second leg semi and you've got to think about extra time and penalties, I think logically teams start with players coming back from injury, because you never know what's going to happen if they have to come off early. If you put them on later and then they need to come off, you lose a sub. So
yeah, you're making one sub, not two.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, and though she thoroughly deserves it, I think we'll see Briley Henry starting.
This pass for the goal here from Apostolakis. Now, Michael Matriciani, very subtly, either Apostolakis has made this decision or they've devised a plan. In the first 22 games of the season, she only had 20 progressive carries, which is running more than 10 yards with the ball and retaining possession for your team. She's had 14 in the last 3 games.
Wow.
So she's exploded, breaking up the pitch, and being at the venue, it was so noticeable how she is coming up to join the attack. It could just be a product of her being switched to left back and Ross back into right back. And because she's not on her preferred foot, she's more inclined to run into the middle of the pitch. But it's very, very noticeable. And as we saw with that assist for Briley Henry, it's really taking effect. Yeah,
I'd love to pick her brain about that, but it also could be a product of really good coaching of Matriciani as well.
Well, plenty to prepare for as we head towards the weekend. 2-2 that result. What did Emily Husband, the coach of Central Coast Mariners, have to say post-match?
It's the girls. Like, at the end of the day, I set them up, but they're the ones who go out there and execute it and put their bodies on the line. You see our defending. You see how desperate the girls are to take points away from teams, and so it's massively down to them. As a coach, you can set them up, you can move them around tactically, but you can't instill that energy and desire into them, and they bring it every single week, and it's been a massive reason as to why we've had great success this year.
Emily Husband chatting after that 2-2 draw with Melbourne City, talking about their energy, about their desire and how proud she is of their defending and their execution out there on the park. And one of those defenders, of course, is their captain, Taran King, and she joins us now post-training. Morning, Taran.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us. You must have been super proud of the result, and Emily obviously is as well, talking about the strength in defending and also going after the points and going after the goals against teams like Melbourne City.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, coming up against the Premiers who haven't lost all year, it's a tough task, I guess. But, we were up for it and come out with, I guess, a positive result in the end. I guess would have been nice to go in with a win, but, we'll take the draw and we'll be heading down to Melbourne positively.
And Taran, you returned to the starting lineup at the elimination final. How have you adjusted to returning to the intensity of finals football?
Yeah, well, actually that last week was my first ever final in A-League, so it was tough. My body's obviously feeling it. It's kind of feel a little bit like pre-season for me. So trying to get up to scratch as quickly as I can, I guess, and try not to miss a beat too much. But obviously we've got good staff, and Em's very, understanding of the situation I'm in at the same time. Just kind of doing what we see fit, seeing how far we can push me, I guess.
And I've got to ask about a favourite former teammate of mine, Taylor Ray. Can we get an update on her situation?
Yeah, obviously Taylor Ray, massive part of our squad, and disappointing that for both her and us that we couldn't get her on the field last week. But she's trying her best and doing as much as she can to hopefully be right for this weekend. And we'd love to have her out there, and hopefully she comes good.
Taran, are you on a minutes plan, or do you feel like you have 90 in you? I know the prospect of extra time could be there this weekend as well, but first things first, are you at 90 minutes of readiness yet?
That's the thing. It's I guess it depends on how the game's going and how, I guess, the intensity of the game really. I guess when different game plans test my body more than other game plans, obviously. So, it's kind of a case-by-case basis at the minute. We're not too concerned specifically about minutes at the moment. It's more where Em sees me fit in terms of whether she thinks I'm keeping up with the game or whether I'm struggling a little bit and maybe it's time for me to come off.
Well, speaking of game plans, Grace and I in commentary were fascinated at the weekend. When you made way, there was a double change and we saw Blake Hughes come on. Now, was that in response to Holly McNamara entering the game, or was there always a thought that if the situation was right, the team would go to a back five? Because we've seen Blake a handful of times. Understand that she's only 17, but she has played a heap of football, 48 games last winter across 18s and seniors in the NPL. So tell us a bit about her. I understand she's American and she's not eligible for our youth national teams, but what's her story and how impressed were you when she came on?
Yeah, I mean, Blake, as you can see, she's a great one-on-one defender. She's very tenacious. She wants to do well. She puts the effort in and she keeps everyone accountable at training and during the game. So she's a great pick-up for us, a great young kid. But like you said, she's still young. She's still got lots to learn. But I mean, you've seen, the games that she's played already. She's doing really well so far. So we didn't have a specific game plan, I guess, for Holly McNamara. We kind of were expecting her to start, really. We were shocked that she wasn't. So, no, it wasn't a specific game plan, more just, I guess, how Em felt the game was going. And, Blake came on and did a great job.
You've got some great senior leaders in the team, but you've also got some youngsters who are standing up and shining, and one of those is Annalise Rasmussen, who was, outstanding leading up to the goals in the game. What do you make of her and her growth at the moment?
Yeah, Razzie's one of my favourites, I think. She's got so much swagger, and I think, she's only kind of just starting to blossom a little bit now. We saw little snippets of her last year, and she's become a lot more consistent this year, but I think, she's fun to watch, I guess, in the next few seasons to come, because I think she's got a lot more potential than she's kind of reached so far. So, no, it's great to see her on the scoreboard and to see her passion when she does score. And, she's just a great teammate as well to have around, and great energy. So, really looking forward to hopefully her scoring a goal this weekend and her future to come too.
When we hear from you, Coach Em Husband, she's always very quick to credit the players and say that the players are the ones that do the work. But I want to hear from you about Em's coaching. From this season compared to last, but also the different group, the various challenges. I mean, especially with your injury and return, Ash Irwin going out, how have you seen Em as a coach this season? Has much changed, or is it just the circumstances that have changed and she's been able to adjust along the way?
I think she's much the same person. I think with Em, it's obviously, I think she's a great person in general. So I think her coaching kind of stems from that, and she builds a lot of trust with the players just based on the fact that she is a nice person and you can go and talk to her. You know, I've been in environments where you kind of don't feel comfortable to go and speak to the head coach at all times. So, yeah, she's completely different like that. And, you know, I've said it before in interviews, she plays the game kind of like chess. She's got a lot of information to go out to players and a lot of information for us to understand and, you know, comprehend and then apply. So it can be off-putting for some players, I guess. And it was a little bit scary even for me when I first started with her. It's a lot to consume, but once you kind of wrap your head around it and you know, you've seen us play lots of different formations across, you know, her 2-year coaching time span. So we become very adaptable and we take on a lot of knowledge that we can apply, I guess, in all different situations. So, yeah, no, I think she's a great coach and, you know, a different coach that I've probably not experienced before her.
Now, teams love to find motivating tactics, a narrative, whether it's for a specific game or a season arc. Going into this second leg, has the team decided on a theme? Is there a catch cry that's going through the group, or is it still just any other game? Take us inside the group. What are you motivating yourselves with for this massive second leg?
I mean, I think most of our motivation comes from us internally. I think we know from the get-go this whole season, even last year, there's not many people that back us week in, week out. There's not many people that back us to make finals. Teo, you included.
Guilty, yeah.
So there are a lot of, I guess, critics of our style, our football, and, you know, our potential as well. So I think that's been a large majority of our general motivation across the whole season, let alone just finals. So, yeah, I said it a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, people keep doubting us, but we keep proving them wrong and we keep stepping up to the challenge. And I think you saw that on the weekend. It wasn't a perfect game for us, but we didn't go down without a fight. And we'll be going into this week, you know, on the front foot and looking to get a win.
Great stuff, Taran, and I love the sledging as well. Welcome here on Dub Zone. Absolutely, anytime. Congratulations on the season so far. Great to see you back on the paddock, and all the best for the road trip down to Melbourne on the weekend. Keep playing the underdog and proving the doubters wrong.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Yeah, captain of the Central Coast Mariners, Taran King there. Teo, calling you out. Did want to talk a little bit about Blake Hughes, though. Is 17 years old. Just the 6 matches so far this year, making her debut at the beginning of the season. It's a pretty big effort when you're brought on and Holly Mack's your opponent. Yeah,
but, I mean, as we heard there from Taran, it wasn't a specific plan, and they were caught out. They were expecting Holly McNamara to start. Yep. T, did you see enough to suggest that Blake Hughes could be near the starting 11 for the next game, or do you think going to a back five, especially if the Mariners are playing to get to the end of the 90, playing for penalties perhaps, which we can't rule out that if the tie remains 0-0 or if it's 1-1 on the day and 3-3 on aggregate and we're heading for extra time, that they might go to that back five again?
No, I don't think they'll do it from the get-go. I think it's more a game management thing where, you know, the score's in a place they'd like it to be, perhaps later on. It'll depend how the game goes. I don't think we'll see Blake Hughes starting.
You love the audacity of youth, though. That little spin on the ball that left Holly McNamara behind. Is Blake Hughes the max stopper?
Nothing phases her. You know, she came on and, she did what she had to do. So that's a huge
youthful enthusiasm.
win. Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is wonderful.
You know, you get a taste of first-class football and you don't worry about anything else because you're just out there enjoying it and doing what you do best.
And it's a wild card for the Mariners, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a chance, of course, that this match could go to penalties. If that's the case, what's the setup? Who are you backing?
That's a hard one.
Does Emily Husband make
Langman's
a,
had a fantastic season, but Mariners have more youngsters, so...
We're seeing some of the penalties that teams have either taken or faced this year. So that's Pennock getting saved by Sally James. This was Langman saving from Policina. This was on New Year's Eve. So Melbourne City have had to think about who takes their penalties this season because we've seen Holly McNamara, we've seen Mariana Speckmeyer miss penalties. And historically for Melbourne City, it's been a little bit of an issue as well.
It has over the years. But I think in this case, it's literally a 50-50 on the day.
Milena Mires here saving from Tamika Yallop, of course, and that's when it was first versus second. And then this was another penalty save here, Holly McNamara over in Wellington, saved by Carolina Villau. So they've had their issues. With the Mariners, though, something did catch my eye. Finals, backup keepers often come into play, whether a keeper gets sent off or injured. You know, last year's grand final, Barbara getting injured and Melissa Barbieri playing, for example. Now, the Mariners have had Chloe Carmichael on the bench for most of the season, but they put Teresa Morrissey on the bench at the weekend, and she's never made her debut, but she's been very highly rated. Former young Matilda, went to college in America. This is from the NPL Grand Final, which she won for the MacArthur Rams. And
penalty specialist there, perhaps.
Well, we saw Graham Arnold do it with Andrew Redmayne, and no one was expecting that, right? And you would have been called insane for suggesting Arnie would have done it before that game against Peru in the penalty shootout.
But it worked.
I want to plant the seed right now.
Oh, wow, Teo, big call,
If it gets to penalties, do you think we could see Teresa Morrissey come in for Sarah Langman? Or are you happy to back Langman, given that she did face down those 2 penalties earlier in the season?
Is her inclusion a surprise in the recent week, or last week?
I mean, she's been on the bench a handful of times, but Carmichael, neither of them have seen the field. Neither of them have ever made their debut. So it would be a shock.
It could very well be, a case of picking a specialist in that area to come on and do a job.
The only argument I would make that we don't see her is to get to penalties to begin with. The Mariners might have to make five subs and then the extra sub because they'll have so many players that are just exhausted from chasing City at 70% possession for 2 hours. But if they get there, don't rule it out.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Intriguing concept, and we'll let you stew on that while we find out what's cooking on socials with Narlene Masto, thanks to Ninja.
I'm Narlene Masto with what's cooking on socials and in the world of women's football. Brought to you by the Ninja Woodfire Outdoor Oven, which can turn any space into an outdoor kitchen. Chelsea have won a 6th consecutive WSL title with 1 league game still to play. Head coach Sonia Pompasto has made a huge statement in her debut season, silencing any doubts that followed Emma Hayes' departure. And the Blues aren't done just yet, as there's still more history on the line. They're now just 1 game away from finishing the season invincible. You may have heard some rumours around the future of Matilda goalkeeper Tegan Micah, and Liverpool have in fact confirmed that she'll leave at the end of the WSL season. The former A-League's shot stopper arrived at the club in 2023, but only managed to play 7 league games in her first year. This season, she's been battling for game time, with Rachel Laws the preferred option in the starting lineup. What's next for Micah? Well, we'll have to wait and see. 2 Ninja A-League stars were recognised at their club's awards night. Perth Glory captain Isabel Dalton was named the most glorious player after a stellar season. Another midfield maestro, Taylor Ray, claimed the Mariners medal, having helped her side reach the semi-final. Now it's time to head back to your Dub Zone crew for more analysis.
Thank you, Narlene. We best get on to the second of the semi-finals, and that is between Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory. Let's check out the highlights.
And where would you rather be on a Sunday than Coopers Stadium? Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory in the first leg of the semi-finals. Newbon using that long ball. What a pass it is. It's going to set up perfectly for Gielnik. Adelaide unlocked, and M. Gielnik rockets the finish in. It will be Janchevski. She lets rip, and Jenkins saves it. Over the head of Condon, Leon, Condon saved it point blank and put it by Healy. Adelaide are level in the blink of an eye. Flannery cuts it back. Dabalonia saved by Jenkins. It unfolds so quickly Jenkins had to make a big save. Murphy, high to the far post. Victory lead. Claudia Bunch puts it in. Chidiac on delivery this time. And it's in for another for Bunch. Melbourne Victory with 1 foot in the Ninja A-League Grand Final as they go 2 clear in the first leg. And it's advantage Victory at the end of the first leg of this semi-final.
Adelaide United 1, Melbourne Victory 3 in Adelaide. It almost feels like kind of an upset with Victory overrunning United at the death there to put 1 foot in the grand final door.
Yeah, it was an exhilarating game. Look, I wouldn't call it an upset in the end. I think the history between the teams, Victory has gotten the better over Adelaide for a long time. But, yeah, Gilnick with an absolute world-class goal to get things started. Teo, a great assist from Courtney Newbon there.
And Melbourne Victory, I think that goal was against the run of play to an extent. Adelaide had played quite well. Their best football looked very good and they were committed to attacking in this match. I've gone through the numbers. Other than finish their chances and concede the big chances in the 6-yard box to Victory, Adelaide did very little wrong. Like, I'm trying to find a selection, I'm trying to find a player, I'm trying to find a weakness, and really it's, I think, just Victory better. That it's very hard to analyse this game looking for something to critique other than Victory did exactly what we said was going to happen on last week's Dub Zone. They were going to demonstrate some aerial superiority.
And they did.
And indeed they did.
Yeah, and Adelaide will be so disappointed and were disappointed with themselves in the way they mishandled those couple of corners. Just Bunge and Morrison really working together there to get the better of the Adelaide defenders there and free up Bunge both times.
Amy, I want to ask you, as a former defender, about what you saw at these set pieces, because Adelaide were unhappy about maybe some obstructions and blocking on Jenkins, and we see Morrison use the shove to lose Dylan Holmes, and that leaves Claudia Bunge free for the first header. But what did you see?
To give us some space, well, I see a lot of Adelaide players on the outside or on the inside of the goal there and possibly not attacking the ball. And I think the thing as a defender in any goal-scoring opportunity is your body has to be on the line and you've got to go for the ball regardless of what's going to happen to you. And I just don't see that desperation to be first to the ball or to climb above or to just, be like a heat-seeking missile on that ball from any of the players there, sadly.
Perhaps they need to rethink their matchups as well, of who marks who in the corners.
Is that something that only an on-field leader can sort out rather than... I mean, the coach can prepare you during the week, but...
Yeah, you've got your set-piece documents out there. Things change in the game and, yes, leaders have to step in at certain times and reshuffle things, but I'm saying before, on the training pitch, perhaps they need to reshuffle things.
Yeah, and I think the matchup is a clear point. 5'6", somebody against, the taller players that the Melbourne Victory side have is really an unfair matchup at the end of the day. Melbourne Victory, though, what a season they're having and finding goal-scoring form at the right time and that beautiful double there as well.
Yeah, Melbourne Victory, 14 games undefeated. Their club record undefeated run, some distance in the background now, T.
Yeah.
Melbourne City has stolen the spotlight from what would otherwise be one of the all-time undefeated streaks in this competition.
Yeah, and in any other season, they're the premiers too, aren't they? So, really, really great achievement, and it tells you why their mentality is the way it is at this point in the season. They're just calmly going about their business. Look at that, nothing worries them.
Now, Adelaide weren't happy with the refereeing. That's their prerogative. I went and looked at the numbers. Victory only conceded 4 fouls for the game, but that's only the equal second lowest. There was a game where they conceded 3 fouls. They're like a basketball team. It's 5 fouls or less. I mean, they are conceding so few fouls. They're very disciplined, and I just wonder if you can be physical, you can be disciplined, and then you can have someone who attracts a lot of fouls of their own, like an Alex Chidiac, and that's how you're able to basically control the tempo of the game the way that they do.
Yeah, well, Chidiac does attract many fouls. The calibre of player she is, the type of player she is, uses her feet very, very well. So she is a threat. So players, probably make a statement to foul her. But I think, Victory are just very, very disciplined, and they've become very, very good at that.
Now, the whistle went very infrequently in this game. I've mentioned how few fouls there were. There were just not many fouls total. And again, I think that suited Adelaide, a transitional game where they could break end to end. They could try to make Victory at least backtrack and run. One of their standout players was Emily Hodgson, both advancing into the final third and getting balls into the box as a wing back.
Yeah.
But with the injury to Tiana Karambassis, who went into concussion protocol, they actually switched her to the opposite flank. And then the chance that we saw it in the highlights package, the save that Dapolonia forces from Newbon, that leads to the corner for 2-1.
Yeah.
And I don't think that chance unfolds the way it does if Hodgson is still on the opposite flank. Instead, it was Ella Tonkin, a centre-back, being made to guard the left side of the pitch.
Yeah, I thought Adelaide would be happy with, the lesser amount of fouls in the game. And I thought through the guts, through the middle, they were great at getting Erin Healy the ball most times. There were a few miscued passes, but she just opens everything up for Adelaide. And I think for them, I think they need her on for 90 minutes.
Leave her out there, you say?
Leave her out there. I felt things fell apart a bit. I think more so mentally. I think those corners show that they were fragile mentally without her out there.
She has been amazing, and obviously putting the goals away, doing, you like her in the 9 position, doing a great job bearing the ball. She got a name on the score sheet again here. Really important piece to this Adelaide season, and we've talked about it coming from wooden spooners to potentially finalists.
This was a big stage performance from Erin Healy, wasn't it? The number of times she took the ball either inside her own half or in that midfield third and just moved the game and dictated where the game would be played for Adelaide. Yes, the goal's a tap-in, but it was her build-up play throughout the course of the game, which was, I think, the most impressive thing about her.
Yeah, and as good as the players are around her, Wirtz, Condon, Holmes, Dorber, you name it, I feel like she makes them even better. She really brings them into the game and really enables them to show their best out there.
Well, it is the Victory who have the advantage at the moment with a second leg still to play. Let's hear what the two coaches in Jeff Hopkins and Adrian Stenter had to say post-match.
We started the game really well, and then Adelaide started to come back into the game. Just their setup and their structure with the box in the midfield was causing us a few problems, and we gave the girls a couple of solutions to sort that out, and then to try and then break forward from there. Probably the transition was hurting us a little bit in the first half, so we hopefully. We didn't fix it completely, but we made it much easier for us. Bungie was amazing today. Yeah, if it's not her, it's Kayla coming up, and the girls at the back just love the opportunity to come forward and to score goals. So yeah, it's been a highlight of our game this year for sure.
Well, I thought it was a fantastic game. I thought both teams played really well, and we were able to cause them some problems and create some chances. And we're always going to play in a way that, leaves ourselves a little bit open at the back as well, but we're prepared to take that risk. So we feel like we've got plenty of positive things to take out of the game and bring to Melbourne, and we'll give it everything we've got next week. Just to keep going, keep looking for the areas that we want to play into, keep running at the opposition, keep taking them on, stay aggressive, attack, basically. And that's the way we want to play, and that's how we think we can get some joy against Victory. And we just fell a little bit short because of a couple of set pieces today.
It is a tale of two styles, isn't it? Adrian Stenter with attack, and Jeff Hopkins with defend. It's a match made in heaven for people who love a football game. But, we talk about the attack, and you think about the attack of Erin Healy, who we've just spoken about, but there's also Fiona Wirtz and also Dorber to come into that lineup.
Yeah, and I think Dorber needs to start in this second leg. They're 2 goals at the deficit, so they're chasing it, and they need to throw everything in this game.
Adelaide's only away win in Melbourne was November 2015. Such a long time ago, there's no surviving footage, unless an old referee's assessor's got it on a CD-ROM out there somewhere. But I was listening back to the old radio highlights of it last night, Teresa. Rosie Sutton hat-trick. Melissa Barbieri was in goal for Victory and got sent off. Jamie Harnwell was the coach. Ancient W League history, right?
Yeah.
We've been saying, Adelaide, set your own course, write your own history. If they come back here, this will be the greatest win in their club's history. Even if they just get a 2-0 or a 2-goal advantage and get this to extra time or penalties and give themselves a chance, it will be the greatest win they've ever pulled.
And it's doable. It's 2 goals. They can do this. They've got goals in them.
I feel like coming from the bottom of the ladder to being finals contender is enough to tell you that they've got the grit, the determination, and certainly the players to make it happen. It's what goes on up here, I think, that makes the difference, isn't it? All right, let's have a look at what's to come this weekend, the finals tree, and of course, the fixtures. There they are, the second semi-final legs to be played across the weekend, Saturday and Sunday afternoon. Coming your way on Saturday afternoon, the 10th of May, kickoff at 2:15. You can watch that one on 10 Play, 10 Bold and Paramount+. Plus, it will be an absolute cracker. And then Sunday afternoon, can the Mariners get it done down in Melbourne? Melbourne City hosting the Mariners at Cyber Pitch. 10 Play and Paramount Plus have that. Quick tip from you guys on these two matches.
That's a tough one.
I'm not allowed to sit on the fence.
I feel like, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'll go with the result. I think Adelaide will win, but I don't think it'll be enough.
I don't want to let the Mariners down. I've been tipping against them, so I think we'll have a Melbourne Derby grand final.
Well, two big games to come, that's for sure, and plenty going on in the A-League. Also, let's find out what's happening in Total A-Leagues.
Coming up on Total A-Leagues, we preview a huge weekend as the final series in the Isuzu Ute A-League gets underway. We speak to Adelaide's Bart Vriens about the Reds scraping into the top 6, and we name our team of the season. Tommy, some huge games coming up this weekend, mate.
So exciting. I mean, 4 great teams and 2 huge fixtures, and I think we can expect goals this weekend, so can't wait to get stuck into it.
Absolutely. A lot to look forward to. Check out Total A-Leagues on YouTube, the A-Leagues website and the app every Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy and Vince. Plenty to come there, and lots coming our way in the second leg of the semi-finals in the Ninja A-League as well. 2 big games, all on the line for a place in the final, and Teo providing all the motivation that's needed for the Central Coast to get a win.
Hey, it's just nice that people are paying attention, watching the games, watching all the peripheral chat around the league. It's exciting. It's this time of the season where the league needs to make the most of being in the spotlight, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, whether you're pitch side or on the comfort of your own couch, make sure you tune in and we'll catch those 2 matches, and we can't wait to break it all down for you next week. A big thank you to Teresa Polias and Teo Pellizzeri for their input. I'm Amy Duggan. Look forward to seeing you on Dub Zone next week.